George joins the pack. It was an early morning in the yard, and Patrick the cement truck was boasting again. "Please stop about your silly cement," said Kelly. "Pah!" said Patrick. "You and your silly arm aren't as important as me." Kelly groaned. "Well, let's see how important you are when I lift you in the air," snapped Kelly. "Hopefully you don't demolish the shed like you did. You take that back, or I'll stick my crane arm right up your—" "Stow it," said Top Hat. "You two need to quit arguing and get ready for work." "Where's Miss Ginny?" asked Oliver. "She's away for a week. Now come along, all of you." At the site, the machines were working hard. Oliver was digging. Jack and Alfie were loading Max and Monty. And Patrick and Buster were working on a new platform. Patrick was being very careful with his cement. Buster had to wait for him to pour another batch. Then there was trouble. Max and Monty were being careless and bumped into Buster, sending him rolling into the batch of cement with a giant squish. Buster was stuck. "Help!" cried Buster. Patrick was cross. "You silly steamroller, you've ruined my cement." Buster was hauled out of the cement and taken back to the yards. He was sad. "What will we do now?" said Oliver. "I've got an idea," said Top Hat, and laughed. George was right where he was left. He was turned into a sawmill after being punished a long time ago. "Stupid old place. I wish I'd be rolling again," he grumbled. Just then his driver arrived. "Good news, George. You're getting a second chance, and you're going to be working with Jack in the pack." George was glad, but it wasn't really what he wanted. After he was steamed up, he was ready to go. He rolled across bridges and hopped up hills. He was happy to be going somewhere. At the site, the machines were still working hard, except for Patrick. He waited impatiently for George. Just then, he rumbled in. "About time," scolded Patrick. George glared at him and rolled to get his orders. As he rolled up, Jack backed up in front of him. "What's it, you?" growled George. "Sorry, who are you?" asked Jack. "I'm George, and you need to stay out of my way." George worked hard all day, smoothing out tarmac, and at the end of the day, he headed back to the sheds. The next day, George was smoothing out a new parking lot. He had just finished when Max and Monty roared by. "Slow down, you demons!" he called. Just then the foreman walked up. "George, I need you to help Patrick with the cement." George rumbled over. "Good, get to rolling," said Patrick. "I don't work with cement," growled George. "Well, you do now." "Chop chop," said Patrick pompously. He started flattening it until Max and Monty rumbled by. Max's tire splattered the wet cement all over George. George was fuming. After a while, George was resting. The foreman was talking about needing some more dynamite. George rolled up. "I know where I can get some more. I've got some at my shed." Then he saw Max and Monty rolling in. "Can Max and Monty come with me?" asked George. "Of course they can," said the foreman. George smiled cheekily. He rolled up to the two dump trucks. "Now listen, Max and Monty. You two are going to work with George and collect some more dynamite. Then come straight back here," said the foreman.
"We'll make it back before George," said Max.
"It ain't easy being green, slow wheels," roared Monty as they both raced away. Along the road, Max and Monty were being careless. They swerved and skidded along the roadway. "Keep up," said Max. "I'm going as fast as I can," replied George. They all arrived at the shed. "This is an old sawmill. There's no dynamite here," said Max. "It's in that shed over there," said George. Max and Monty rolled into the shed. They couldn't find anything. After a while, they finally backed out quickly, too quickly, that they knocked over some oil drums. "You dummies!" said George. George steamed in so fast that sparks flew from his funnel and lit the oil, causing it to burn. The fire headed towards the sheds. "It's gonna blow!" called the oiler.
Get those hoses over there.
The fire brigade arrived and put out the fire, but the shed was destroyed.
Where are those hoses? Start the water down the smoke now. Get water over there. Come on. Bring the fire engine.
"You tried to blow us up," said Max. "No, I didn't. You two were being so careless to see what was happening that you knocked over the oil drums," said George. Sir Topham Hatt pulled up in his car and was very cross. "Max and Monty, I hear you have been rude to George, and George, I am very cross that you tried to harm Max and Monty." "But sir, it was the sparks from my funnel that caused it. It was an accident," said George. "He saved us, sir," said Monty. "Yes, if he wouldn't have told us to move in time, we'd be crushed," chimed in Max. "Well, I guess we've all learned a very valuable lesson today," said Top Hat sternly. A few days later, the job was done. Buster came back to the back, and Max and Monty were punished for being rude to George. The two dump trucks didn't like the work at all. Even though George was gone from the pack, the engines weren't too keen to hear about him boasting about the roadway again. But that's another story.
The train arriving at platform 1 is the 15 service from Knapford to Vickerstown.
Hello, I'm Gordon. If you want to watch more videos, click on these links here. And also, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Express coming through!